Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast.
Third Degree the Podcast is brought to you by people just like you, the wonderful supporters and listeners of this podcast, and support us on Patreon, patreon.com/third degree. If you like what we do on the internet, whether it be this podcast, whether it be our website covering professional soccer and FC Dallas, even our work on social media, why not come join us and come support us? thirddegree.net is the website. Patreon.com/third degree is where you can support us. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show.
Well, hello there, DFW area soccer curious person. Welcome to another episode of Third Degree, the podcast. No, he's not here, so you may just turn it off now. You know, it's not as fun without Dan, but no, there is no Dan Crooke today. It's just me and your hero, my hero, everybody's hero, editor, founder of thirddegree.net, and the original soccer influencer himself, Buzz Carrick. Come in, Buzz.
You're right, Peter. It's more fun when Dan's here. I don't know where he is today. I know where he's doing. Today, I have no idea what he's doing. I just know he's not here.
I'm sure he's working diligently on somebody's marketing plan.
Yeah, probably.
Making it better.
That's a good guess. Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
I wanted to start. I had a moment today, Buzz. I have to admit, not often I spot something on the intersocial webbers, majiggers, and have a moment, a kind of a verklempt moment. But this happened when I saw a retweet of an FC Dallas video of a youth game.
Right.
And some young man hitting a nice little side volley banger to win a game and all the celebration, but that's not what caught my eye. What caught my eye, and I was unaware this was a thing, was that they were wearing the Dallas Burn throwback kits. And I just thought that was chef's kiss. I thought that was great.
I was not aware they were wearing those kits either. So far, this is the time when they are transitioning, and usually I know they've already had the old blue and red Afterburner kit, and they've started wearing the whatever this current powder bluey sort of thingy is called.
The not white.
The not white one. They've been wearing that. So it was a surprise to me to see the Burn kit too. By the way, when you first tweeted, I thought you were getting hyped because that's Eric Quill's son.
No, I got excited because it dawned on me that as day oneers, back in the day, the Burn didn't have a youth team or an academy team. I mean, kids didn't wear Burn kits back in the 90s and early aughts. It wasn't until after the Hunts had bought the team and launched the FC Dallas youth team did we ever have that kind of thing here. So to see modern kids in 2025 wearing Burn throwback kits, I don't know, just warms my hard, cold heart, man. I just think that's kind of cool, man. I don't know.
Did your heart grow 3 sizes that day?
It kind of did this morning. Yeah, I was like, okay, I this pleases me greatly. So
that's cool.
There you go.
That's fun. Yeah,
I wanted to share that with everybody. I will also share that I just finished off my trial of something called the Trader Joe's calzone, meatball calzone.
How was that?
I think I'm going to regret eating all of it.
Oh, did you eat it all because it was good?
I don't know why I ate it. I think I was hungry and I kept eating it, tasting it, going, I don't know how good this feels very doughy and weird. And I ate the whole damn thing. And now I have a feeling come tomorrow, I'm going to regret it. Yeah. So that's my day, Buzz. How about yours?
I made a run to the dump.
I don't even want to know what that means.
The dump, the city dump.
Oh, you took garbage out to the trash.
Yeah, well,
okay.
not garbage, but I have a humongously amazing, gigantic, century tree in my backyard, giant oak. It drops a lot of limbs, and so about once a year, I have to load the truck up with tree limbs and haul them off to the dump. So that was today.
Look at Buzz doing physical labor around the house.
Well, it's not that physical. Just pick them up and put them in the truck.
Well, very good. There's small talk on Third Degree, the podcast. Since we don't have Dan, we'll just
I'll have you know that when I was pushing all the limbs out of the truck, a guy that had been obviously was a professional tree trimmer of some kind pulled up next to me And we were talking. He was like, "Oh, you're down here doing this on your own. Look at you. Good job. How old are you? 55." And he goes, "Oh, I'm almost 70." And I was like, "Oh my God." And he flexed. And I was like, "Man, get out of here." I got punked by a 70-year-old at the dump.
I think his original plan was to try to talk you into letting you pay him to do what you didn't want to do.
Probably.
And it ended with him figuring out you're never going to pay him, so he's going to flex on you.
Yeah. I definitely felt like I got dunked on for sure.
Well, very good. Well, the big thing to talk about today here on the podcast as it relates to Football Club Dallas is last week's press conference. And as you know, Buzz, I decided to go ahead and dial in via the Zoom. I was kindly, after I talked about and asked the question whether or not I should go, somebody from the club actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, you should come ask your hard-hitting questions."
Wow.
And so I joined in on the fun, and I sat around for my turn, asked my question, and then realized my question probably was the one thing nobody really wanted to talk about. All anybody else wanted to talk about was something that Andre Zanata said that I think caught us all off guard, Buzz.
Which is?
They ain't buying no other center back.
No.
For 2026.
Golly. Well, I will say that for a couple of weeks on this podcast, we talked about the scenario of when they would not do that, when they would not buy a center back. And that scenario is what has played out in terms of what they're saying. And it takes two things, well, really three, but we're going to call it two things to happen. And this is what they said. And it makes it almost okay. And the first part of that is that they're staying with three at the back. They're staying in 3-5-2, which is, or 5-3-2, however you want to call it, whatever it is, same thing. They're staying with that. And both Nolan Norris and Shaq Moore were referenced as center backs. So we talked about for the last month, probably, that was possible. Now, I think they still need another center back.
Buzz, but I think I hate all of that. I don't want this team playing with three in the back, and I don't want them imagining whether they play 2 or 3 or 17 in the back. I don't want Shaq Moore and Nolan Norris in that mix. That's not what they were. That's what God intended them to do as soccer players.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, Peter, around here, we have this dichotomy where this is what we think they should do, and then this is what they're going to do. And can we live with what they're going to do in certain circumstances? And so they have sort of just barely clawed their way into, okay, I get it, and gone forward with the idea of three in the back. Now, I agree with you that I can sort of buy Norris as a center back, but I can only buy it in this back three. If you want to go to a back two center backs, a back four overall, but 2 center backs, then I don't know that Norris is the great idea. And the same thing with Shaq Moore, because both of them are right around, one right under and one right over, perhaps 6 feet tall. But at the same time, Shaq Moore looked really good over the last couple of months of the season as that center back, and Nolan Norris looked really good in the one particular game. And I think what it comes back to is that I have talked about how last season was one of the worst goals against in club history, one of the 5 worst. But if you looked at before the formation change and the after the formation change, which is the same time as they got rid of Lucho Costa. So we put a lot of weight on Lucho Costa, and that's going to be a topic we're going to get to in a minute. But just looking at the defense and just looking at the goals, if you look at the goals before that change of shape and you extrapolated the continued performance out, you would get like a 63 goals against season, which is one of the worst, would have been one of the worst in all-time history of the league. But if you do the same thing also with the performance after that formation change, you would end up with only 40 goals against over the course of a season. Well, that's really good. That puts you tied for second in the league, behind teams like LAFC and San Diego, tied with LAFC and San Diego, and behind Philadelphia, Vancouver, and Minnesota. Those 5 teams are 5 of the elite teams in this league. So I sort of wrap my head around why they made this decision. Now, I don't agree. I think they should go get a center back and play a back 4, but this is cheaper. You don't have to go get a center back.
Well, so do you think it's a money thing?
No, I think they looked at this change of tactics solved the defensive issue, which was a massive, massive issue. Now, I think they could be even better, and that's what I want them to do. But if you want to spend your money other places, this allows you to do that, because now you, according to what their philosophy is, they don't have to go get a center back for this back three. And they brought back Ibiaga. I would have liked to have seen them replace Ibiaga, but they brought back Ibiaga on that crazy number that he's on to be a backup. Like, the idea isn't that he's going to start. The idea is that Norris and Moore are going to start, maybe depending on injuries, that might not be the case. But Ibiaga, like you said, was a red flag for the insurance purposes of needing 6 center backs for this shape. Because when you play 3 at the back for the course of the whole season, you need 6 center backs. So you 2 at every spot, just for health and competition purposes.
Yeah.
So Alvaro, Abubakar, Ibiaga, probably your backups on paper anyway. Norris, Moore, and Urguide are your 3 starters now. Right wing back will cause a little bit of a kerfuffle there, because you know what? We'll save the right wing back talk when we get to Giovanni in just a little bit.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm going to harken back and lean on something that you have preached many times on this podcast, which is whatever comes out of the front office's mouth is probably a lie. And I do wonder...
Or spin.
And I do wonder if Andre just so blazingly and boldly stating, no, we like who we've got, we're not going to add any more center backs, is just bravado, or just a bit like he's just, they're working a deal and they don't want to goof it up or raise the price or whatever all that football manager cliche stuff is. That's what I'm running on, because I can't foresee. I mean, this is one, and let me also say at the same time, this is exactly what I was worried about when they re-signed Ibiaga, which was, wait a second, we're going to end up with the same group of knuckleheads in the back line that we already had, and they're going to try to pass that off as a good idea.
Well, you were right. I mean, that's the thing, is once they brought back Ibiaga, that was a pretty big sign that they weren't going to sign a center back.
I did say that last week or 2 weeks ago, didn't I?
You said it multiple times, yeah. Zanata does not like to talk about signings at all. He doesn't even like to admit they're after people. So, which is really remarkable that he mentioned that they were close on some mids and forwards, 2 of them, he said in the press conference. But here's the thing, is like, what the difference in the goals against once they changed formations, it dropped from like 1.8 to like 1.1. So that's, almost a whole goal a game difference. So that's what they're pointing to. It's like, we don't need to go get a center back because these knuckleheads, as you call them, threw down just barely over 1 goal a game allowed. Well, that's pretty good defense. That's enough to get you competing at the very top of the league. I'm not saying that you're not right to think that they should go get a center back. I agree with you. But
that's their thinking. My problem with all of this is that the knock-on effect of the guys they have in the back line isn't just a function of defending the goal. It's also they're critical components to building out and moving the ball forward. And Ibiaga and Lawless Abubakar both are just not good on the ball. Urguide, really, really good, and I think he's like the model in which they should try to be looking for in terms of skill sets. But I mean, Nolan, I suppose, is probably I know Nolan is a better at that.
Superb passer, yeah.
But I don't know. I really honestly can't tell you how well Nolan's going to play as a center back over the course of a season. I also don't really know that about Shaq Moore either, because that's not his primary position, and he's a little too small for that position. So,
well, Moore did it for 2 months after they changed shapes. Nolan, we only know from based on the limited times he did it for the youth national team, and then the one incredible game when he came back. So it definitely is a question mark in Nolan for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, they're rolling the dice. Yeah.
If they wanted to tell me that Shaq and Nolan were backups or fill-ins for center backs or subs or whatever, but that's just that's not the starting 3 center backs that I want to find out this team has next year. But I'm worried that maybe that's the case, or maybe he's lying and they end up buying Osaze Jr.
Yeah, well, they got 6. So, like, obviously, a lot of that depends on how you classify Norris and you classify Moore. I mean, if you classify Norris as a left back and Moore as a right back, then you don't have 6. Then you only have 4. So, it's entirely possible that yes, they are after center back. We did hear all the year that they were scouting them. But I think at the end of the day, they probably decided how much would it cost us to get something actually better than Shaq Moore. He played pretty well as a center back the last month and a half. Now, remember, Quill is a big competition guy. So it's more me penciling in more on Norris than it is them. For all we know, it's going to be wide open, and it could just as easily be Abubakar or Alvaro or Ibiaga. It could be some of the starters as well. So like I don't think we should make any locked in assumptions about Norris and Moore, other than I think those are the better choices in my head, but I'm not Quill, so it's not great. And if we want to move on to the next topic, just to sort of include in this conversation, is that Zanata said that Giovanni Jesus will be healthy, is healthy, has been healthy for 2 months, and will be there at the start of the camp. And that gets involved in your right wing back discussion, which is why if he really is ready, you can move Shaq Moore into the middle. Or for that matter, you may not remember this, Giovanni Jesus played right center back in a back three quite a bit before he came to FC Dallas. So he's capable of that too. So, that's another guy. They love this flexibility garbage, right? Which came up again in this press conference. So those two guys could factor at right wing back or right center back, either one. So there's lots of possibilities on the back line for Quill.
Yeah, I guess my concern is what we talked about a lot in the last few weeks, is the concern that the 2026 Dallas roster looks an awfully lot like the team that squeaked into the playoffs in 2025.
Yes. It looks almost right now it looks exactly like it.
Well, it is, right. But I'm saying by the time we actually get to February of 2026, the number of moves this team makes is going to be relatively minor, and they're not going to make any big changes. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Let me just because this is the exact same conversation we were having at the end of 24 leading into 25. And then they blew us away with a Osaze signing. And then, of course, the whole Lucho Acosta thing happened, and we all were giddy and super excited and not really thinking about it, because it all very much played itself out exactly as it probably would have had we put 2 minutes of thought into how well he actually fit this system. But that's an old story. So I'm concerned at this moment, but I'm also going to hold out the fact that we've been through this before, and I think it'd be fair to say, if we get to the start of 26 and this roster is essentially the same group of guys, especially in the back line, there's a reason to be disappointed in the front office's efforts.
Yeah, if you sit still, you're going to get passed. They're not going to be back in the playoffs if they don't make any additions.
But I think it's a function of not just sitting still. It's not good enough now. I don't think this group of guys is good enough, and I also don't think playing a back three is the right idea in this league.
Yeah, I don't either. But at this point, this is what they're doing, so we have to deal with that reality. It doesn't help, of course, that Abubakar's 30 and Ibiaga is 34 going into the season. Now, to be 100% transparent in terms of this, they do have 6 open roster spots. They do have an open DP spot. They do have Lucho Acosta's open salary, and in terms of the internal budget, not even just the cap. So, it does behoove them, since they are in this 2-4 model, to go spend that salary and go get a banger, whatever with your DP, probably a 10. Keep in mind, too, that by keeping the 2-4 model, which is another piece of news from this press conference, they're keeping the 2 DP4 U22 model. They will pick up an extra $2 million in GAM. So that's an extra bunch of chunk of money that you could use to go get a guy or buy a guy down. So, yeah, like right now, absolutely, you would look at this team and say, if you don't do anything, it's going to stink. That's always true. If you do nothing, it's going to stink. You're going to get past. Now, we have to give them a little bit of a chance. They got the 6 spots. They got boatloads of TAM and GAM. From a conversation with Armand, we think it's like roughly about $5.5 million in available spend after all the models and all that crap's done. They got 1 open international roster spot right now. Maybe you can make another 1 or 2, get a green card, get a guy off the roster you don't want, like in a Solly maybe. So they have the flexibility to do some stuff. I haven't looked up when the window opens, but the window actually isn't even open yet. Probably won't open until January. So, okay, you got a little time, but at some point we're going to want to expect to see some moves. They got to put the money in this DP, because to be on the 2-4 model and to say that you're here to win trophies and then not go get a DP and leave an open DP spot would be ridiculous. So, they showed last year a willingness to spend money at the 10 and to go get a Lucho Acosta. Hopefully that doesn't snake bit them completely, that they will still feel that's the need and go get one. Because if you're going to ride the Paxton Delgado, I don't think you're going to get very far. He was decent back into the season, but he wasn't electric by any means.
No, and I think those are clearly the two biggest hits out of the press conference. The decision to stick with the four U22s and the two DBs, and the fact that he almost unsolicitedly said, "Hey, we're just not going to go get a center back," and kind of blew all our hair out.
I know
when he said it.
Probably because we've been talking about it so much. It's just like,
well, it just seems to me the most obvious and glaring issue on the team.
I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, like, Shaq Moore is a good wing back. When you actually play him as a wing back instead of a right back, you remove some of his defensive responsibility, and I think he becomes a much better player. And it's a shame that you just are like, nah, we'll leave him as a center back and not go get a center back. So I don't. Right now, that's by far the most number one glaring need, in my opinion, is that center back, and they're just not going to do it. They're just going to spend their money other places. They're going to get a 10. Maybe they're going to go get a wing. Maybe they'll go get a 6. I don't know, something like that. So they got some open spots. They're going to have 2 first-round draft picks. That'll eat up some spots on your roster. Probably have some more homegrowns. It's hard to argue with playing the kids. I don't mind on some of that. I don't mind a little bit of that going young. Nothing wrong with that. But they're going to need another keeper, probably. So it bums me out that and the minute they picked up Ibiaga, I was like, oh, you were right, Peter. No center back. So.
Well, maybe, like I said, maybe they're bluffing and one is.
Yeah. Gone. I don't think so, though, because they picked up Ibiaga. That's an $800,000 bluff if they.
They ain't trading him to anybody in the league on that salary.
Well, somebody said to me, like, oh, you can just, like, if you go get a center back now, you just buy out one of these other guys. What? Just waste $400,000 or $500,000, $800,000? Just throw it down the tube? That doesn't sound like the Hunts to me. Once they activate a guy, they're not going to do that. They're going to buy him out a month later. It's ridiculous.
The other thing that I really caught my ear is this continued suggestion that they are essentially counting on Paxton Pomykal being a starting player next season.
I know. It makes me very nervous. Well, at the same time, there are the way they're playing. Paxton's not a 10 right now. They're going to need 2 guys in that midfield, and they've got Kappas, they've got Paxton, they've got Ramiro, who they want to keep on the field. Maybe at wing back, maybe in the middle. They got Kayik running around, who they paid a lot of money to get. They got Diego Garcia, who Quill loves. They got Patrick Nugata, who might need to try and get on the field in that same spot too. There's lots of bodies in there. So while they keep talking about Paxton maybe being a starter, it's like, I wonder if that's as much for Paxton as it is for us, to make Paxton feel good.
Well, I wonder if Paxton thinks he's a starter on this team.
A healthy Paxton is a starter.
He's got 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah. 100% healthy Paxton is a starter. There's no question. Healthy Paxton is better than anyone else they have in the midfield.
I guess my question is even if he's healthy, Paxton hasn't played regularly in over 2 years.
I know.
I mean, there's a whole issue about form and game shape, and you don't walk away from essentially the game for 2 years, and suddenly just because your hamstring's better, you start playing exactly as you used to. It's a different thing.
I know. Like, he didn't look anywhere near the same player when the couple of curtain calls he got there at the end of the season. And I was also worried that Sonata said of Giovanni that he was going to come back and be a huge contributor because he had the same surgery that just like Paxton did. Well, what are you talking about? Paxton doesn't come back and be a huge contributor. It's like, I don't know. It's like, come on, man.
I really marvel at this team's optimism over player injuries and the players' abilities to come back from really significant injuries, ACLs, the meniscus replacement surgery, all of that stuff. And the idea that they appear to have Giovanni Jesus like in Sharpie on right wing back just seems ridiculous to me. And it's not like they've got an option. They've got a ton of options as replacement. I guess they could move Shaq Moore, but then that completely goofs up their center back plan.
Yeah.
At least
Shaq
the way
Moore's out wide and Ibiaga's starting, I guess. Yeah. Do you remember I think it was the season after Nico had his good season. I think it was the season after that. We went into the season. We were like, they made 6 moves that are all high risk. And like, if every one of them hits, it's going to be great. But but they didn't. Every one of them missed. This feels like that. This feels like there's a lot of high risk bets being made. You're betting that Giovanni is going to be good again. You're betting that Paxton's going to be good again. You're betting that Ibiaga will be solid at 34. You're betting that Norris is ready to start 34 games. You're ready that Shaq Moore's ready to be a center back full time. You're ready to bet on Collodi, apparently, or a Paz's recovery, rebounding, whatever. You're betting on a Musa Farrington combo with no backup strikers really of any state or form or whatever at all. You're betting on Kappas to carry the midfield by himself. And so you're betting on Bernie Kamingo to be a great wingback for 34 games without the backup being a 17-year-old or now 18-year-old homegrown. It's like there's just a lot of bets that are happening again. And maybe when you're a team that's in the middle of the pack that doesn't want to spend crazy money, maybe that's just the way it is that you're going to be risky and make bets.
So trying to be positive and look on the bright side of things, was there anything out of the press conference that you saw that made you hopeful or feel better about the situation or thinking they're on the right track?
No. Well, I like Eric Quill's mentality and the way Eric Quill talks. That was my only takeaway I liked.
Yeah, what was the crazy weird thing that he said? He
talked about how great Lucho Acosta was, and I was like, man, that's not what I saw. And how awesome he was and what a great locker room guy he was.
Just
and I'm like,
glad handing and ass kissing.
You don't want to trash your big time money player. I get all that. That's the only that kind of worry. But other than that, Cole's mentality about like, we're a bunch of warriors. We compete. Like last year, they could have given up, but they didn't. Like all that stuff. I like that.
No. I know what it was. And I wish I had written it down and I've forgotten it. He had an acronym. Damn good player. DGP.
Yeah.
Yes.
DGP. Yeah. Yes. Damn good player.
He goes, what kind of players are you looking for? And he was like, I'm looking for DGP. Damn good player.
Yeah. I like that kind of thing. I like that intensity of that competition. Like, and when I look around now at players, I think to myself, okay, does that guy have a Quill mentality? Quill likes guys that can play the ball, but also have power and pace and then mentality. Like, so those three things. Lots of people say they like that stuff. Quill really does like that stuff. It's not always like, Rondo. Sometimes it's like, I'm just going to smash you, and I'm going to have this mentality that we're going to smash you, I mean, look at the way they fought against Vancouver, right? The physicality they brought to the table. Like, that stuff's all good. So like that makes me positive, but there was so much, honestly, Peter, when I was watching that press conference, it just made my head so tired because I was like, it was the same mediocrity that they've been saying and dressing up in a bow for years. And it makes me tired, man. Flexibility. We're here to win trophies. Man, you sure don't act like it. I mean, like the next sentence after somebody said, we're here to win trophies, Dan Hunt said they want to increase the amount of money they make from player sales. Well, man, that doesn't sound like you're here to win trophies then, does it? If you're going to sell all your best stuff, staying 2-4 on your model. Not really being that upset that you're not in the Open Cup, that you're in the Leagues Cup. Just not adding a center back. Whatever, makes me tired.
Yeah, it was. I by and large, I was a bit surprised by the whole way everything was presented. Obviously, Dan's proud that they made it to the playoffs after such a struggle, and I think they're all kind of like wiping their brow because they got out from underneath the mistake they had made in Lucho Acosta, both in terms of how the season ended and financially. Full credit for all that stuff, and they all seem to be very self-congratulatory over that. And fine. I guess the season did end up excitingly, and Quill deserves a ton of credit for deciding he's not going to put up with it anymore and just kind of making it happen under his own willpower, his Quill power, as I like.
I mean, we sit there and we hear the same things every single season, but here is the Andre Zanata era of FC Dallas, starting in 2019, right? Here's where they finished in the West: 7th, 6th, 11th. They fired Lucci. Great start for Nico, 3rd, and then 7th, and then 11th, and then 7th. So I didn't add it up, but that's an average finish of about 7th or 8th. And
it's probably closer to 8th when the 3 throws it out, but you've got 2 11s. So
you got 2 11s and you got 1 3. So you're probably you're somewhere between 7th and 8th place on average. And they seem to be like, yay, we're awesome. I'm like, man, no, it's just.
Well, yeah, but I also think that's just indicative of the club in general, based on the way that it's managed. And look, watching MLS Cup the other day, they're so far behind both of those teams.
So far.
And I'm not even talking about spending. I'm just talking about in the quality and the way that they play. It's just there's a significant gap between them and the other playoff games that I watched with other teams from both conferences. And but Buzz, you and I both know we've been doing this now officially 30 seasons. Yeah. This is what it is, and that's part of what we have to. I think that's what fans of this club have to accept, is that you fall in love with this club, understanding that it comes with these limitations, and at some point the stars will align. And it'll probably after I die, but the stars will align and things will work itself out, and they'll win an MLS Cup.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's Oscar and Clavijo, 4th, 1st, 7th, 4th.
Yes, but I agree. I fundamentally agree. The league is significantly different today than it was in that period of time.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And Oscar. Oscar's done well in Orlando, but he hasn't won MLS Cup in Orlando.
No, I don't think they're doing a good enough job player personnel-wise. I think Clavijo, and with Muzi working with him, to be fair, and compared with Oscar, that combination really worked. Like, whatever reason, those guys were all on the same page. That was also when FC Dallas got started in the academy, and they got a leg up from that. So there's lots of factors. Nothing happens in a vacuum. There's always context. But,
yeah. I think that if you want to be a fan of FC Dallas, you do it with the understanding of, look, this is just what the club is, and you learn to enjoy the experience for what it is. It's okay to get frustrated that they don't go out and do this or that. I don't even think this is a function of them being cheap. I honestly don't, because I don't even know if I want my club to run the Inter Miami model or the Toronto FC model.
LAFC, yeah.
Well, no, Toronto. Toronto goes out and blows out all kinds of money, and they suck all the time. So I'm not. I don't have a big issue with the spending part of it. My issues are all over the map in other areas.
Yeah,
I do wish. I'm sure internally they feel really ambitious. It just doesn't look that way to us on the outside, and maybe we're missing it because we're not on the inside.
Well, at the end of the day, like we talk about this all the time, it's like people say all kinds of things, but your behavior shows that you don't actually mean that what you said. And I think that idea, like that expression of we're here to win trophies, and then you do things like, selling players for big profit. Those two things are not necessarily, working together. Those things are counterintuitive in a lot of ways. You're not Ajax. You can't sell people for billions of dollars and win trophies. They're not that good.
Well,
so like the fact that you want to increase your money for sales is counterintuitive to me, that you are here to win trophies. And also like the fact that you think that you express this desire to win the Open Cup, that's a huge deal. It's super important to you and your family because your father's name on it. And then when you're not in it, you're just like, oh, it stinks, but you don't do anything about it. You don't fight for it or get an exemption or say to the league, never put us in the Leagues Cup, put us in the Open Cup every time. Just take the next best team, put them in. Some sort of exemption for Lamar's name. The league owes you that at least, right? That's not even a conversation about the greater desire of MLS to destroy the MLS Cup. Sorry, destroy the Open Cup. This is just for me about the Hunt's expression that they think the Open Cup is crazy important because Lamar's name on it, and then they don't do anything about making sure that they're in it. So, at least not that we're aware of. Maybe there's some secret conversation behind doors where they're smashing people in the face trying to get it done. And then they just pretend like they just don't do it because the league says this is what the rules are. It goes along the same thing with this idea that you're here to win trophies. Man, you don't act like it. You don't act like you're here to win trophies. You just say you are. You don't do things to prove that you are here to win trophies. Keeping Ibiaga is not a move to win trophies. Keeping Ibiaga is a move not to finish last.
Well, I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree.
Act like you want to win. Don't tell me you want to win. Act like you want to win.
Well, see, I think the problem that you and I run into is at the beginning of this last season, everything got thrown out of whack because we thought, oh no, this is not going to be a good season. We got a new coach. We've got some weird roster things going on.
Yeah.
And then they go out and they get Lucho Acosta, a guy that was the MLS MVP 2 seasons prior. And Dan Hunt decides to go pull $5 million out of his pocket to pay for it. And suddenly I was like, okay, that feels very ambitious.
Not out of his pocket.
Well, you know what I mean, right?
It was Velasco money.
Well, sure. Yeah, but it still was money that went in his pocket that he took out of his pocket to pay for it. I mean, it was his money at that point. So,
they do say that they don't take money out of the club. So I will give them credit for that. So it wasn't money that he was going to pocket. But at the same time, you're right. Like, we were right. We went into last year like, oh my gosh, this team's gonna be terrible. And they went and got Lucho. We're like, great, look at that ambition, love it. They went and got DK ambition, we love it. Okay, where's that? Bring it back.
But here's the problem. I think that is the complication of this scenario is yes, it feels ambitious, but it also was a terrible move. Like, it was fundamentally a really bad move to make because it was a guy with a track record, a personality issue. Yeah. You had a brand new coach who had a system that really didn't fit that particular player, and all of it turned out to be a bad fit. Again, we've been through this 1,000 times. We would have been pissed to no end if we had found out that they didn't get him if they had the chance.
Yeah, 100%.
But you understand where I'm coming from. There's like this weird, like, I want them to be ambitious, but I want them to be ambitious and good at their jobs at maximizing their ambition. And that's the part where I think they're falling apart.
The hit rate on signings is far too low, it feels like to me, particularly like if you're going to try and be a team that's going to operate on value and not be like, I'm not going to go spend crazy money. I'm going to find good targets at more normal money. And like, we're going to show you that we can do it we're going to be more like Philly, where we're going to win it with our homegrowns and some smart signings and not win it like Miami, where we're going to pay Messi $50 million. Okay. You've sold me on that idea, but then you go out with your U22s, for example, and you have a hit rate of like barely 50%. And up until Delgado actually started playing a little bit this last year, it was 25% or 0% until Kaique came here and played more than you expected him to too. So the hit rate on signings, like, look at this last season, right? Quill went out and got his guy, Kappas. Awesome. The guy that the club had been scouting for 2 or 3 years and got Dietzen. As you say, who the hell's that? The guy's been, from all the people we know that have seen him in scrimmages, the dude is terrible. Now, he looks decent for Haiti, but whatever, that ain't translating, right? For Quill, he looks like ass. So, the hit rate on signings is just still really bad. As good as Iragide is, Wallace Abubakar was a wash-up. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's just too often that like the signings, the quality of the signings is not there to win the way you're professing you can win. Like, unless you get better at it. And that brings us to me, Peter, to the most recent linked player. The guy that was linked today. Did you catch all that?
Yeah. That is learning that FC Dallas has been tied by Tom Bogert, by the way. That's who the source is, or at least the one reporting.
He was second, but he was second.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
some guy I never heard of. It was first.
A player that Dallas is tied to is a player playing in the Israeli second league, and he's on the Israel U21 team.
He was second last year. He was in the first division this year.
Oh, okay. So it is this. They got promoted. Okay, or he got moved up to a bigger club.
He's an Israeli U21. Yeah,
yeah. That just feels like a very Andre Zanata FC Dallas kind of move. I don't know why that would surprise anybody.
Yeah, and not to mention that, like, hey, they don't have an open U22 slot. They have one open international slot, and you're going to burn it on a 20-year-old kid who may or may not be good. But the problem for me is that by all evidence I can find on the internet, he's an 8. Which is not what the problem. They need a 10, not an 8. They got lots of 8s. They got 8s coming out their ears. The academy produces 8s every year, like just boatloads of them. That's the position they create more than any other. It's like, that's not where you need to go spend your money.
Yeah, but Buzz, I think it's predictable that every move this team makes is tied to using the club as a stepping stone for moving that player on and selling them. Even Petter Musa was purchased at that very high number because it just felt like an obvious home run that he would bag a ton of goals in MLS and they will be able to turn around and sell him for a lot more than they paid for him. Same thing with Velasco. Same thing with that Enesali kid that nobody ever sees. Kayik is the same model. Giovanni Jesus is the same model. Patterson Delgado is the same idea. All of these purchases,
Dietzen probably is too.
Yeah. Dietzen is very much that same thing. This is all about the business of FC Dallas.
Well, this is why I like when he was like, "We're here to win trophies," and I went, "Lol," and the next sentence Dan's like, "And we want to make more money from sales." Oh, now that I believe,
right?
Because that's where your actions back up what you're saying. Because yes, you do behave like you would like to make more money on player sales. That's what I believe. Yeah, that's where your actions match.
Many years ago, I shouldn't say many. Some years ago, Dan Hunt tried to make some sort of self analogy to his club and Ajax. And these European clubs that are successful at growing talent or bringing talent in and growing it and selling it on. And I thought that's a really cool idea. The problem is that your model for you at least to be competitive and consistent at trying to compete for championships is that you got to have you got to have a funnel of it. So that when you squirt one out, you got the next guy up who's just as good, if not better. And that's the part that they have been unable to do. Dating back to, however many, the last several years of youth players that they've moved on.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is I was having this conversation with somebody about the number, about the significance of the fact that Dan and Clark Hunt could probably end up being very proud of the U.S. men's national team this year and how much of a mark their club will have on this team between Weston McKennie and Chris Richards and Tanner Tessman and Ricardo Pepi. And the reality is that a lot of those guys never wore the shirt for the team.
Not for very long.
Well, they never wore the senior shirt. Weston never
did.
Okay, Pepi did and Tanner did. But Chris Richards didn't.
Chris Richards did not,
and neither did Weston. Yeah. So,
at least Richards was signed for 5 minutes.
But they came through the system, quote unquote. So I do think there's some value in that, but it's not like a bunch of guys spent a lot of time playing in MLS for the club and moved on. I mean, even Tanner was here. Was Tanner even here a full season before he got sold?
I'd have to look, but I don't think so. It might have been maybe just over that, possibly.
I think he got moved. When was that? Did he play a full season? He came in as a 6 and they signed him out of the blue because they needed a 6 and the whole thing about an 8, is an 8. And they needed, and they didn't want him to sign that deal with Clemson to go kick in college. So I think he was here a full season and got moved his second season.
I'm looking. They actually were going to let him go to Clemson, and it was because somebody got hurt in the midfield, and they needed a body in camp, and they were like, "Well, Tanner's our best kid. We'll bring him in," and he just blew up and was gangbusters. Like, holy crap, I'm going to sign this guy, which is weird because I don't know how you don't sign him when he's DA playoffs MVP,
right,
and carrying your team. Like, it's ridiculous to me, but well, it is what it is at this point. I'm trying to look up how long Tessman was in MLS, and it's not. The MLS website keeps giving me national team stats, which doesn't help me at all. Senior career, FC Dallas, 26 games, 2020 to 2021. So sometime during the 2021 season.
Yeah, so he was here a season and left his second season. So my point is that it is what everybody should know and recognize is that the purchases they're going to make, by and large, are going to be with the idea of moving players on. Like, we're buying a guy because we want to help him advance his career. And maybe, if we're lucky, he'll help us play well in the season. It always just feels like they're buying guys more about the business of soccer and less about trying to make the team competitive.
100%. Yeah, and that's what I come back to, the idea of your actions versus what you said.
Yeah.
And the other side of the coin, though, is that I have enough belief in Quill that I think if you give him the DP10 that he needs, what Lucho wasn't, that he'll have this team in the top 3 or 4 of the Western Conference. Because I think the defense, even with his 3 at the back, which I don't like, I think that he can keep the defense good enough with those guys and with, your Kappas and or your Kayik, Ramiro, whatever the combination is going to be in front of him. I think that holds together enough, and that you have enough in Musa and Farrington with a playmaker that you would be, you would have a goal differential swing of like 10 to 15 goals in terms of added and lost from offense and defense, and that would put you in the top 3 or 4 in the West.
My issue with that system, at least how he was playing it, was when you do that, you're taking a midfielder out of rotation and replacing it with a center back. 2, the way they played a lot of the season left them underhanded in the midfield.
Oh yeah.
And 3, the guys that they did having in those playing in those positions weren't exactly ball progressors, and so they really struggled to. I mean, you know where I'm going with all this, and so
it's the same thing we broke down for months in the season.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's what worries me about trying to a continuation of this into the new season. And it bums me out that Eric isn't going to get to play the system that made him successful with North Texas, which made him successful in New Mexico, and that I think he's probably most comfortable with. And I also think they've got the players to play that system.
Minus the center back, yeah.
No, well, minus the center back, obviously. That's the point to all of this.
No, I agree. I mean, that's the way I thought it was the most logical sense to go. It's like instead they're moving ahead with like I said, sticking with the 3-5-2 takes less additions, takes less turnover, because you can do it in their minds. You can do it without adding the center back. So like it's easier just to do what's already working for you. Now, I think it's not necessarily the best idea.
Well, wait, hold on a second.
Idea. Yeah,
but hold on a second. Let's work through this. Okay. So if Eric goes to his system, which is a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's play that out with the players they have now minus the center back. So you got Aragide is one center back. You got question mark as center back number 2.
Right.
You're going to put Nolan Norris on the left. You're going to put Shaq Moore on the right as a fullback, or Giovanni Jesus.
Yeah, one of
the two.
Yep.
In your holding positions, your double pivot positions, you're going to put Kaique as one. You've got some options there as the other. Romero could be one of them potentially. Chris Kappas could play that position.
Healthy Paxton,
maybe Paxton could play that position.
Yeah.
Now, in front of them, that's where I think the team is also maybe continues to be a little light. That could be a mixture of Delgado, Paxton, Diego. Who's the
Garcia's
that's not who I'm thinking of. Isn't there an academy kid on the verge of coming?
Ramirez, but they cut him. They let him go.
Oh, right. Okay, so. Maybe that's a position of weakness that you would also need to buy. But you got Bernie that can play on one side. You got Julio Anderson that can play one side. Now you've got maybe you're maximizing Farrington a little better along with Musa. So when you tell me it's
Sarver.
Cheaper to Sarver, so when you say maybe it's easier to stay with the 3 in the back and it doesn't require as much change, I'm not convinced that that's the case. You could probably just go out and get yourself a really good Uragide equitable center back and really fundamentally change how this team plays and how well they play. With what the other pieces.
You still need the DP 10.
But you still need a DP 10 if you're playing in the 3 in the back anyway.
Right. So what's less in the 3 in the back? You don't have to get the center back.
Well, don't they? But with 3 in the back, they still need something else. They need somebody else to be able to play left wing. They need somebody else to play the 10.
No wings. They just need the 10. Because the 3-5-2 has 2 strikers, has Musa and Farrington, and all you need is a 10 underneath. Both shapes need 10 underneath. If you stay 3 at the back, you don't have to buy the center back in their mind.
Okay. They need 2 center backs if they're going to play 3 in the back. That's my argument. They can't play 3 in the back and not buy. Well, I mean, am I
their
wrong?
Argument is that they don't.
Well, I know what their argument is, but I'm saying
say.
For them to be successful with 3 in the back, they need 2 more center backs that are equitable in quality to Uragide.
I don't disagree with that. But they do.
My point is that they could buy 1 center back and a 10, the 10 they need anyway in either system, and they'll be better off. And I think it's a better system for the league.
I agree with you, but that's not obviously how they see it.
Yeah, well.
Like on their mind, they said
I didn't grow up in Brazil.
Direct quote is that they're very happy with their 6 center backs they have now.
I heard it.
So
yes.
So when I say that it takes less moves, it's in their mind. It takes less. They just got to go get the 10. I mean, I think that's not all they're going to do. They'll do something else too, but they're just going to go get the 10. They're not going to do anything.
Yes. Luckily, I had muted my microphone on the Zoom when I spit my water out when I heard him say it. Nobody heard that happen.
Yeah.
All right. We beat this to death. We beat it to death. I will mention the question that I asked that turned out to be completely what one of these questions doesn't fit all the others was my question to Dan Hunt about the stadium project. And just some background. So what happened is I had an idea of how I wanted to ask this question with follow-ups and different parts to it. But we were asked at the beginning of the meeting in the Zoom, those of us coming in through Zoom, to type out our questions in the chat. Yeah. And from that, I thought, because the mention is that we're not sure they're going to be able to hear you, so please write out the question. So I had to reframe my question and write it out, and it turned out to be a little lengthy. And then they came to me and asked me to read it. So unfortunately, Dan hears my question and he thinks it's like a 20-part question, and it isn't. And I wish, in retrospect, that what I had asked the question should have been more like, hey, what are the big lessons you learned from this season about trying to play in a stadium while it's in the middle of being reconstructed? And what changes will you make for the fan experience and the game day experience and your team in terms of the roster budget spend in the upcoming season? I wish I had asked the question that way.
Well, that's a good way to ask it, but and you're right, that would have been a really good way to ask it. But I think the way you asked it was not unfair and not a poorly asked question. I thought it was a really good question the way you did it. Dan Hunt gave you 5-minute answer, and maybe he didn't quite get to the part that you wanted to get by the end, but he did get a pretty good 5-minute. He
gave me a 5-minute promotional speech about the stadium. He didn't really answer any of the questions.
He always talks. I mean, that's just
right.
Dan Hunt.
We just got talking points about but we didn't get a real answer about the game day experience and changing, and B, more importantly, does it affect how they spend money while the project's ongoing?
I think the only way you get a real answer on that you never get it from Zanata. It would be from Dan Hunt, and you would have to have it. You would have to get him to agree to a conversation, and not one that's recorded, or like over a beer, sort of as a joke, where like you could just have a conversation with him and try and draw him out.
Well, that's never going to happen.
That's the only way you would get that answer out of Dan Hunt that you're looking for.
Well, I can't even get him on my stupid radio show, so I doubt I'm ever going to be sitting down having a beer with Dan Hunt.
No, but I just wanted to, forewarn you in a way that you're never going to get an answer. That would be the only way.
I know. I recognize that.
And Sonata would be worse. Sonata you'd never get an answer.
So I appreciate the front office reaching out to me and asking me to participate, and I'm glad I got brave enough to do it. And I thought I was doing it the right way, but it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And ultimately, it was a low light of this. The other thing is I felt a little rushed. These guys don't come out and talk to the public very often, and they seemed very hurried to try to get this thing over with, and it didn't even last an hour. I think it finished up in just 50 minutes, and I was a bit surprised by that.
Yeah, they don't when they get to the stage where they feel like they're getting questions that are not about the season that just ended, like the exact moment that we're in, that's when they want to start winding it up. You got into a question that was a bigger picture, long run kind of question, and that's like a key to them of okay, now we can shut it down.
But if I'm correct, I think if I remember correctly, my question wasn't the last one, and I think the really good question about the center back thing was after my question.
Well, Zanata said right out of the gate early on that they weren't getting a center back, but our man Sam from our Discord chimed in.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah, he is a writer too, but he's also in our Discord. He asked a really good center back question after you. Yeah, that was Sam.
Yeah, well, and then as I was listening to Sam ask that question, I thought, fuck, I wish I had asked that question, because it was much better. It was a much more applicable question, and probably is going to get a much more interesting answer than the jibber jabber Dan just gave me for 5.5 minutes. It was
actually Garrett Meltzer that triggered the initial answer about center backs, I believe. One of the third question of the whole thing early on.
Yeah. So, all right.
Two people I was not expecting to come in with banger questions, but they did.
Good for Garrett. So I guess we don't know how legit this rumor about the Israeli kid is.
Well, if Bogart puts it out there, it's legit. He said they're in late stages of negotiation. So, like, that means it's at the finish line. An initial report came out of Europe somewhere.
So is that just a North Texas signing?
No, it's a U22 initiative signing for FC Dallas. That means they have to get rid of one of their 4, probably Enesali, if I had to guess, but because they'll need an international spot for this kid too. He's not going to have the green card or whatever. Given that Solly is not really ever played and probably in 2 years and likely is not going to ever play, you might as well do something. So,
okay.
I mean, the other answer is they're not going to get rid of Delgado or Kayik, and they're not, and so it's either Giovanni or Asali, but they just talked about how great Giovanni looks. So, you do the math. I'm sure it's in Asali that'll be on the way out if the kid's coming. Again, I don't know why you bother with an 8. I don't understand that part. The guy's just going to take playing time from Diego Garcia. I don't understand that. So it's not the guy I'd be after, but maybe he's more of a 10. Maybe the stuff I found on the internet, maybe it's just misled me. Maybe he's a 10. Maybe he's a playmaker. I don't know. He has played some at that spot, but he's also played 6 and 8. So that makes me think that he's more of a box to box guy. The fact that he's done all 3, so we'll see. Maybe he'll be great. Who knows?
Well, we've meandered, bitched, and whined for almost an hour about all this. Just real quick, Buzz, because I know we've been anticipating with great anticipation. That's a stupid sentence. What the new home shirt's going to look like. And the Cocktails and Cleats invitation came out, and there was a graphical element to it that got us all triggered.
Yeah.
Which is a navy blue background with a single red horizontal line buffered by a white line on either side of it. You think there's anything to that, to the new shirt?
I think there's probably a little. I mean, it looks bang on for like what year was that? U.S. national team jersey from.
If it was just the single line, right?
It's the single line. Yeah. It's like dead on for that. I had to put it on Twitter. I think there's probably just some, I wouldn't read too much into it because usually those graphics don't have all that much to do with what the kid ends up looking like. But, at the same time, we usually end up seeing some themes and sneaking into the social media that are leading us towards the kit. So I think you can take a little bit with it, but not much.
And yet another year of MLS being ridiculous and not selling shirts just before the Christmas season. New shirts.
I know they're not like the biggest buying holiday of the year. You don't have the new kits available. To me, it's just bonkers. I don't understand it.
There's all your burn talk for the day. Moving on, Trinity played a big game and lots happened over at the Cotton Bowl as they won a game.
Yeah, Missimo's back, which is nice. She looked good. She doesn't look 100% like peak midseason form, but she looks good. She can do stuff that nobody else on that team can do. I was sort of watching them play, and I kind of felt like I had a little bit of an epiphany about like the way they play this season, what their issues have been. We talked a lot about losing Deb Abadoun in the preseason, and then Missimo, of course, was out hurt, and they keep having to put Amber Wisner back at center back. So like their big 3 midfielders were gone. And basically they didn't have anybody, didn't have the ability to play any possession game. Basically they had to become a really vertical game, like and play actually like Quill wants to play, which is this verticality, this running. And the problem is that their golden boot winner, Allie Thornton, is not a sprint up and down the field striker. She's a post up striker, back to goal. She plays like Blas Perez kind of in a sense. So like there's been a bit of a disconnect between that, because in this game in particular, they put Tamara Bolt at 9, who is a runner and can sprint and can run past everybody in the league. And it actually really worked. They put Thornton out on the wing, who, and so the ability for Bolt to stretch the field, all of a sudden it opened the field up and they looked a lot better. So now that Missimo's back, if they can get a center back healthy and allow Wisner to come back in the midfield, I think the way forward is they'll be able to sort of go back to a little more possession now that Missimo's there and eventually move Thornton back up front. And I think if they can get her going in terms of goals, it'll really do a lot for them. Currently they're in 5th and they play Carolina Ascent this Saturday at 2:30 and they're in 3rd place. Type on my sheet. So it was a really good game for Trinity, and you can see lots of sparks about how they could go forward and how get as a team, as a collective, and play in a couple of different ways and really be able to change it up and really get at people. So,
yeah, I saw Thornton's goal to open the game, and I thought her run and finish was really top-notch quality. Yeah, that was fun. All right, so they play, as you said, Saturday at the Cotton Bowl at 2:30. Nothing about North Texas.
One tiny little thing about North Texas is that they did a Habitat for Humanity house thing down in Mansfield. It's not important news item, but it's cool. So good on them for that.
And rodeo.
Nothing yet. Nothing on Fort Worth yet.
And nothing on Tacoma.
Tacoma's dropped down to the next level, and
Tacoma. I was testing you, Buzz.
No,
you said Tacoma too.
I said Tacoma too. I just went with you. I didn't even register. I've gotten so used to saying it wrong that it didn't even bother me. They're down now on the same level with McKinney and Denton. So unless they do something like a kit launch or sign some player that always surprises us, we won't be talking about them quite so much. The team that's above them, their bigger team, Salina, is not playing for a year, and they're kind of in the go to community events and shake hands phase of their existence. So until they drop a logo, the next thing from them we expect is their official logo drop, which might happen in the next month or so. We'll probably talk about that.
And what are the Vegas odds on the Salina Rodeo Soccer Club logo somehow comprising rope as a font? The rope font.
I mean, you can think of, because their colors are brown, you can think of all kinds of things with, cowboys or cowboy hats. Or
I'm excited about brown, by the way.
Rodeo clown. I mean, the brown and tan is a unique color scheme. I'll give them that. That's fun. So we'll see what happens on the logo.
Very good. And the Atletico Dallas has a promotional event coming up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big block party from 4 to 10 Saturday at the Expo Park in Dallas. They're going to have Patrice Evra, for those of you EPL fans, and Colin Martino out there. That's confirmed. And they're going to have a couple of announcements. So if Trinity is your team, you want to get out there for that and enjoy the street fest. They'll have
not Trinity, Atletico, you mean?
Did I say Trinity?
You did.
Man. Well, I probably said that because a lot of people I know are going to the Trinity game and then going to the Atletico thing afterwards. Which is a good, because the Trinity's at 2:30, so you get out there at 4:30, go down to the Atletico thing and get yourself some food and drink and get an autograph from Ezra or Evra or Martino or whatever you're into, and maybe see what Atletico Dallas has got up their sleeve in terms of an announcement. They said they got a couple of cool ones they're saying, so maybe it'll be a practice thing or something cool. So we'll see. So fans should be hyped.
I'm about to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
Where's Expo Park?
Isn't that the strip above on the north side of downtown? Isn't that the strip that's above the highway?
No, that's they named that after a kid. What is that? Expo Park is
well, good. I'm glad you said something, because I would have gone right down there to that thinking that was it. And then
hold on, I'm
Exposition
looking at it.
Park is
Exposition Park. Hold on, I'm going to tell you where it is.
No, I'm looking right at it. It's
off of 67. It's down in South Dallas.
Exposition Avenue, 2nd, near Canton.
Is it near the zoo? Oh no, it's down in deep. Oh no, I'm looking at the map. It's okay. So it's down at it's in the area in between. That's right. Yeah. So it's in between the area of Deep Ellum and Fair Park. That's why people were saying they're going to the game and they're walking over.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. It's perfect alignment then if it's right there.
Yeah, it's right in between there. It's that. Yeah, it's that little area. I think the volleyball court now, surfing place is not far from there, and I also think City Futsal is in that same area down there too.
This is 100% conjecture on my part. Then Kyle Martino's bit is the urban fields. That sounds like a great place for them to be doing a project with them to do an urban little soccer field kind of situation. I mean, that sounds exactly like the right kind of position for one.
Yes. That is
right there under the highway, like you talked about in
Park.
The cage.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe that all's coming into alignment. That'd be cool.
Right on. Okay. All right. There's
I know nothing. That's just a guess.
Another edition of Peter Sounds Stupid.
Yeah.
Brought to you on the Third Degree
I had
podcast.
The wrong place too, man. I would have been right over there on the north side downtown going, where is everybody?
Gosh darn it. What is the name of that deck park over by the Perot Museum? What is that? That's the Kyle
Warren Park.
Warren Park. Yeah, the rich guy named it after his kid. Kyle Warren is the kid of the rich guy who gave him the money.
perhaps stupidly, that's where the Dallas Trinity thing was. So I just assumed in my head,
that makes sense. Yes.
Dallas Trinity was there. That's a perfect environment for it's downtown Dallas, all that stuff.
No, Exposition Park is a little area off to the east of Deep Ellum, but I never call it that. It all just considers, I always just consider all of that Deep Ellum, but I know exactly where it is. So.
I see City Futsal right there too. I see that.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's right there where City Futsal is. And so all of that. Okay. Very cool. All right. I don't got nothing else. You got anything else?
You
want to talk World Cup draw?
We can do that, but I just want to shout out my man Diego Hernandez, who's led Furman to the College Cup.
Oh,
Final Four. That's coming up this weekend, I believe. So,
did I see that the longtime coach there is retiring after this year?
Furman?
Yeah, I think because I think I saw
the Aggies coach retired. I know
that. I swear I either read that somewhere or Clint Dempsey was tweeting about it or something, since that was his club, his university. So
yeah.
All right. Very good. All right.
Did you want to talk World Cup?
If you want to. That's all I've been thinking of for the last 72 hours.
Yeah.
So
I know for you, it's a much bigger deal than it's for me. What did you want to talk about it?
Well, I was just curious what your reaction was. I mean, I don't even know if you've paid any attention to it.
Oh yeah. No, I watched the whole draw. I thought it was an hour and 50 minutes of wasting my time and 10 minutes that I cared about. So
yeah, well,
I thought the slate of games that Dallas got is pretty exciting. I thought the USA group was just about as positive as it can be. There's no stinker teams in there. It doesn't look like, depending on who the fourth team is, all those teams are pretty solid. Should make for some good games. It is a winnable group. You would expect Dallas to win that group. The U.S. men's national team to win that group. If they don't, I think everyone will be very disappointed. But the games should all be quality. I think that while I love dogs very much, the announcement of the dog as a mascot for the U.S. national team is stupid when you have the eagle available. But whatever, I'm not in charge, I guess. Even though dogs are awesome.
Well, my issue with the mascot isn't as much the dog. It is the most off the rack, generic dog mascot I have ever seen in the history of mascots.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's just a brown square-headed dog. It doesn't have any pattern or spots or anything unique about it. It's just a brown dog.
Yeah, I just can't get past the fact that it's not an eagle. It's like, it's our national team. It's not, that was weird. Anyway, that's my take. I'm looking forward to England, Croatia. That's going to be a fun game.
Not that we're getting into the stadium for the game.
Well, no, I'm going to watch it on TV. That's not a game I'll be able to get tickets for.
Well, I don't think I'm getting tickets to any of these games.
There'll be matchups where tickets will hit the market. That's a huge stadium.
Right.
You think like for Japan versus Poland, there won't be tickets on the market?
Probably, yes. And that game actually will end up being an important game because Japan probably will be squeezing for a third place slot.
Yeah.
100%. All the games Dallas got it's an amazing. I mean, no other host city got a schedule of group games anywhere close to Dallas. I mean, it's like, go look at San Francisco's list of games. They got hosed. Go look at Houston's. Houston's isn't very good. Now I guess if you're a Ronaldo fan, it's great because they get Portugal twice, but Houston's list of games isn't very good. The only one that's even close to Dallas is New Jersey. So,
well, and there's a potential for some really exciting advancing round games too for Dallas.
Dallas. 100%. Yeah.
Bangers. Yeah.
I was telling the story on the show the other day because I was running through the math, and there is a scenario where if the U.S. wins their group in San Francisco, their opponent in the round of 32 could be Canada. Because if Canada ends up third in their group, and if Italy ends up becoming the fourth team in that group, you could see Canada coming in third behind Switzerland and the Italians.
Yeah. Easily.
If that is the case, depending on a bunch of other permutations, a bunch of other things have to happen for this to be the case. If there's four, this is so mind-bending.
I'd be disappointed by that matchup, but
I would wait. No. U.S. Canada in a round of 32 with Jesse Marsh in San Francisco. That would be an amazing World Cup game, Buzz.
They play Canada all the time. I'd rather get somebody,
but not with anything with the stakes on the line like this.
I know.
Especially with all the BS that Jesse Marsh has been blowing out his ass for the last year.
I love Jesse Marsh, man.
Bitterness.
I love Jesse. I'd take him as a pro coach so fast. Oh yeah.
So anyway, that was one of my favorite little quirks I found in the schedule. So
that's a fun one. Yeah. I mean, I love the World Cup. It's going to be so much fun. You know, even if I can't afford to go to any games, I'm just going to sit there and enjoy myself on the sofa. It's been great.
Well, the crazy part is you will be able to watch games starting as early in Dallas time, as early as 10 o'clock in the morning and as late as 11 p.m.
That's crazy.
There are literally 3 games kicking off at 11 p.m. Dallas time on the West Coast over the course of the
games.
Group
It's
game.
going to be impossible to watch them all.
In fact, there's a game at AT&T Stadium that will not kick off until 9 p.m.
See that? There you go. You'll be able to get some tickets somewhere. You know people. You'll be fine.
I don't know people.
What are you talking about? You know people that work for the committee. What are you talking about?
Andy doesn't get any tickets.
Well, doesn't right now.
We'll see.
Yeah, believe me, you'll be fine.
We'll see.
You're rich. You'll be fine.
I'm not rich.
Just
I'm doing this podcast for free. I'm not rich.
you know what? I'll double your salary.
Thank you.
Please, my brother sent me a link to the sideline hospitality suites going for like $45,000 per game per seat.
Yeah,
I was
ridiculous.
Like who does that?
Businesses.
Yeah, I guess Saudis.
Businesses buy that and they use it. You know, they do it as a business write-off and they take clients to that stuff.
I guess that better be a big client. $40,000 a ticket.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you're AT&T or American Airlines or Sewell auto dealerships, that stuff doesn't affect you anyway. All right. Well, see, this is what happens when Dan isn't part of the podcast. We just kind of prattle on and meander and lose our way. And
how about a teaser?
2 old farts.
I think this week I'm going to drop my college homegrown list, and I'm going to have 3 players on there that I think SC Dallas should sign out of college as homegrown.
Okay.
So it's a little teaser for you.
When you say a college homegrown list, you mean kids from the area that are playing in college?
No. Well, to be a homegrown, you have to play for SC Dallas Academy.
So they're kids from the academy that have gone on to college
that are playing in college right now. That I think SC Dallas.
So like Julian Eystone a few years ago.
No, Julian Eystone did not. Well, if you could have signed him as out of Duke, yes, that would have been.
Yeah. Well, that's what they intended to do until somebody else came calling.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Or if what they were planning to do with Weston McKinney, what they did do with Reggie Cannon, what they did do with Jordan Cano as a 4-year senior. It all depends on whether they're underclassmen or seniors, but there are various kinds of them. But I have 3 this year that I think they should sign.
All right. That'll be good fun. We'll look forward to it.
Cool.
All right. Well, I got nothing else.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, we, as usual, we went well over an hour talking good soccer, good Dallas soccer.
Just another 50 minutes of whining and complaining about our team.
Like I said, I was in that press conference. I just sat there. I literally was just at one point, I was just like this, just tired head.
Were you in the room?
Face and hands. No. I was watching on YouTube. You remember I told you I had a family thing?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I can't remember whether I was watching on my phone or at a computer, but it just was like, just gave me, it's the same stuff every year, just repeating themselves all the time. Just made me tired. I'm getting old, man. Getting tired. I'm running out of time.
Oh, well. What you gonna do?
Say la vie. Third Degree, the podcast, is brought to you by people just like you, the wonderful supporters and listeners of this podcast, and support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Third Degree. If you like what we do on the internet, whether it be this podcast, whether it be our website covering professional soccer and FC Dallas, even our work on social media, why not come join us and come support us? thirddegree.net is the website. Patreon.com/Third Degree is where you can support us. Thanks for listening.
Beautiful. All right, Buzz. Thank you, sir. And hopefully Dan's back next week to provide humor and entertainment.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully he is. I mean, I know he says he will be, so tune in for that. Tune in for Dan.
All right. Very good. We won't have a press conference to whine about.
He'll probably have notes from this one that he'll want to talk over again.
Okay. We'll let him do that. All right, bud. That's it.
That's it.
All right. Thank you, DFW Curious Soccer Fan. We appreciate you. And we will speak to you next week on another episode. Oh, don't forget to go buy Third Degree stuff for Christmas. It's all in Buzz's store.
It is.
Or up your subscription to the Patreon or do something like that.
Thanks, man.
Buzz needs to buy Amy a Christmas present. We'll speak to you next week on another episode of Third Degree, the podcast.
Buzz needs to pay for the stuff he already bought her.
Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast. Third Degree, the Third Degree Net Podcast.